Hey everybody, it's Paul Ramsey, and I'm joined today by Wendy Packer, who is going to be doing a 2-hour workshop on how to be the expert in taking care of the caregiver. How are you, Wendy?
I'm excellent. How are you, Paul?
I'm outstanding. I'm always happy to spend time with you. So first of all, I should also say that this 2-hour is at the 2017 NGH convention in August, and you are actually presenting on what day?
I am presenting on Saturday.
Saturday? Do you know the
Yes, from
time?
11 a.m. to 12:50 p.m.
There you go. Thank you for that. Saturday,
Yes.
11. All right.
And I could even give you the number.
Oh my gosh, do it.
It's number 22115
Yes, you're the best.
on August 12th, which is Saturday.
It is Saturday. Great. So tell us, first of all, for folks who may be finding this video and haven't met you before or don't know about you before, tell us about how you got into hypnotism.
Well, I got into hypnotism, I would say, from adversity. And that was to help my mom, who was a chronic pain sufferer.
Oh,
And as a nurse, I did everything that I could for 20 years to help her eliminate her discomfort.
oh my gosh.
And the bottom line was that everyone wanted to give her medication. And she became another personality. She became a recluse. She didn't want to engage in anything. Even going shopping was something that was just out of the realm of her reality.
Yeah.
And I began a search knowing that there had to be another modality out there that had to be effective in helping her. And oddly enough, hypnosis popped up. And the articles that I found, now this was back in 2002, the articles that popped up all were related to World War II vets. And my father was a World War II vet.
Yeah.
And I figured, wow, my mother could make a connection there. And they specifically talked about phantom limb pain and also treating the vets that had severe burns. So I said to her, hey, Mom, you should really try this. And when someone is really looking for something to help them, they're open to anything. The only little glitch was that she wanted me to do the hypnosis after I explained everything to her. And I said, hey, Mom, I'm a nurse. I'm not a hypnotist. And she looked me straight in the eye and said, I could wait for you to become a hypnotist. I said, oh, okay. So I explained to her that it was a process, and she said to me, I've waited 20 years to get rid of this pain. I'll wait as long as it takes for you to get certified. And that's what I did. I went to the National Guild website. I found an instructor of certifying me, and the rest is history. And she, believe it or not, the day after I got certified was my first session with her. So when I hear hypnotists say, oh my gosh, I can't do it. I can't start right away. I need time. I need practice.
You want to
You know what?
shake them, don't you?
Go for it. You had the training. You know what to do. Just do it. And it was great.
Yeah.
And within 5 sessions, actually 4, when I called her for the 5th,
Yeah.
she said, I'd like to go shopping.
Wow.
And it was just a wonderful, gratifying experience to help my mother get her back to her old self and live the rest of her life feeling happy.
Oh, that's so great. See, this is the first thing I've told several people, and people who watch these interviews will probably hear me say it over. First thing I love about doing these interviews is that I get to hear these stories, and it's so inspiring to hear the way that hypnotism changes people's lives, but also that gets people to change their lives by becoming hypnotists.
I know. And it was literally, I said, you know what? I'm going to do this full time.
Yeah.
This is something that is amazing. I could help so many people.
Yeah, that's so great. So I want to move on, and thank you for that. That was so great.
You're welcome.
Talk about your actual session, and I want to first of all start by making sure that we don't assume people are familiar with this terminology. So first of all, this says right in your learning objectives, if people come and spend 2 hours with you, you're going to help them define the caregivers in our society. You're going to help them identify caregiver needs and address those needs with hypnosis. and you're going to help them learn how to find caregivers and market to them. So first
Yes.
of all, just this, I don't want you to get into that content because that's for when people go, but just
Correct.
give us a quick, like, what's a caregiver?
Well, you know, everybody thinks a caregiver is someone who's taking care of someone who is terminally ill. And since I'm a nurse, that was what I thought for many, many, many years. But then when I did my research on the topic, I learned that parents are caregivers, teachers are caregivers. Anybody in our society that provides a service is dealing with many issues that caregivers deal with, such as stress, sleep issues, weight issues, so on and so forth. It's an endless list. And it kind of like broadens the term so that really everybody is a caregiver in one form or another, especially to yourself.
Yeah.
And on my intake form, I have a question that says, are you a caregiver? And even parents say no. They just don't understand that they are. And everybody can benefit from hypnosis, one way or the other.
Right, right. So great. And so um there's this word that, again, it probably got a little too narrowly used for a while, but now you're helping us understand that we can expand our understanding of that
Right,
term and that
right.
word. Now, of all, like, you've got this long history as a nurse, and there are so many things that you could be presenting on based on your vast experience. Why is this topic, the topic of the caregiver, important to you?
Well, caregiving has been part of my life since I was 6 years old. And that was taking care of my grandmother who lived above us.
Ah,
And years ago, they left kids alone, believe it or not, at
right.
6. And my grandmother was riddled with rheumatoid arthritis.
Ah,
And when she needed something, she would take her cane and bang on her floor, which was our ceiling. And that was my signal that Babcia, I'm Polish, so that was what I call grandma, Babcia needs me. So I would run upstairs and I would help her either pick something up that fell on the floor, get her a drink, do whatever she wanted.
yeah.
So I had a history. Plus, my mother, who was her daughter in law, took care of her physically, doing a lot of physical things. And I think that she was a role model for me in, number one, leading my path to become a nurse, but knowing that the issue of actually caring about someone is just very important,
Right, right.
both physically, emotionally, and mentally. I mean, it's a whole package.
Yeah. Hmm. Cool. Where do you think, when you think about the content that you've lined up and the skills that people are going to acquire from spending this 2 hours from you, where's like the real value in knowing what people are going to know after they spend these 2 hours with you?
Oh, wow. I have to tell you, I prepare such comprehensive handouts that everybody who attends this workshop will leave at the end of the workshop having everything that they need to go out and start lecturing and helping caregivers in every aspect imaginable.
Wow, that's
And
awesome.
that's one of the comments that I do get. They love the handouts.
Yeah, yeah,
And I give them everything. You know, I believe in sharing, and if somebody wants to be successful, just give it away. That includes a PowerPoint presentation, articles, a questionnaire, lists of words that are very important to use when speaking to a caregiver script, all of that.
yeah, yeah. That's great. I'll tell you, uh, I haven't sat through this. And so I'm right off. I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't know what I've been waiting for, but I have found that one of the things that has kept me from being more effective is early on in my life, I found that I was always sort of on a caregiver path. I was, and as a young man, it was more like, I started coaching Little League when I was 16, like way younger than most kids my age, and most other coaches out there. And then I was a camp counselor. And then when I was in college, I was a resident assistant. I kept putting myself
Right,
in these positions, right?
right.
Um, Then I was a teacher. I taught at a public school. And so I was doing that over and over again. And I got to a point where by the time I got done with being a teacher, then I went and I worked at a university. I ran a residence hall. I had 160 co-eds in my building, and they would come down all day long, you know? And I sort of got burnt out on like doing this whole thing of having conversations with other people. And
Right.
it really slowed the growth of my consulting side of my hypnotism.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
And I spend
Right.
a lot of time touring and doing shows and all that, but I do that other side as well. And for, years and years and years, I really did not make an effort to grow the consulting side of my hypnotism practice because I had this, not a fear, but just like I just don't want too much of that because I had learned and experienced how draining it can be. Right.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And it's
Absolutely.
that's because, so then I think about that. I go, well, that's really because I, as good as I was at giving care, did not develop those skills,
Self-care.
charge, and how to be more ready. You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when someone attends the workshop, they're not only going to know how to work with others in caregiving responsibilities, but also for themselves. It's definitely that was like the perfect segue for my statement, your story.
Yeah.
But it's true. It really is.
People, seriously, Wendy, I probably cost myself tens of thousands of dollars minimum in doing that. Like I could have been much more active in the consulting side of my practice, and I just didn't want to go there, you know?
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah, I know. It is crazy. Self-care, self-love, it's always important. As I always say, people need to they need hugs. Yeah. Hugs are great. And then inevitably someone says, I don't have anyone to hug me. And I always say, you certainly do. You have yourself. You have to put your arms just around and pat yourself on the back. Yeah. Your brain doesn't know that someone else, it's your arms and your hands, but the effect is absolutely amazing.
That's so true and so great. And I just want to know, like, as you've come along, because you go all the way back to 6, as you've come along this journey of learning to acquire these skills. And was there a particular point for you where you had this kind of light bulb moment about?
Oh, absolutely.
Tell me about that.
And that was when I became my mother's caregiver.
Oh.
Preceding that, I was my sister's caregiver. She had a very rare cancer, and I stayed with her every step of the way, which was a very emotional journey. Yeah. And I sure needed self-hypnosis during that journey. But when my mother became in need of me on a daily basis, believe it or not, Paul, I fell into the caregiver trap. Even the person that knew so much about caregiving, I just lost everything. You get into a little bubble inside your head, and your focus is always on the person you're caring for. Yeah. So I would go to my mother's apartment every day. I would do her shopping, go get her prescriptions when she needed something. And it became like I became a little bit like my mother. I forgot appointments. I stopped working for a while. Yeah. I didn't sleep soundly. Even my family began to notice that I was becoming a little bit distant. Yeah. And that's when I realized, oh my gosh, with all the knowledge that I have, I'm falling into the trap. And I'll tell you a specific event. Yeah. It was the day that I was going to do her food shopping, and there was a tremendous snowstorm. And I had to park 2 blocks away, and I had a cart full of groceries for her. And I packed up all of them in a cart, and I was schlepping them toward her apartment. I finally make it up the stairs into the lobby, and all of a sudden I noticed that the elevator was out of order. And she lived on the top floor, which was the 5th floor. Oh, geez. And I thought to myself, oh, how worse can this day get? First the weather, then the parking, then the schlepping, then coming in and there's no elevator. So I pulled the wagon up 5 double flights. Now my mother knew I was coming because she buzzed me in. Yep. And even my mother looked at me and said, what are you doing? Why didn't you just take one bag at a time and bring it up? I mean, I was so out of my mind,
Yeah.
so focused on getting what she needed
Yeah.
into her apartment that I just lost it all.
Yeah.
It happens to everybody. When you become a caregiver, sometimes it's overnight.
Yeah.
You know, it's instantaneous. It's a life changer.
Wow. Gosh.
So my mother had more insight than I did. You know, it was kind of funny, and she was laughing, and then I
But she's
started to laugh
outside of
too.
it,
But
right?
I
She
know.
had to climb in like you have. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That really makes sense
Yes.
to me. Gosh.
I
So,
know.
uh, this has been amazing, and I want to just go for hours, but that's not what we're here to do. So I'm just going to tell you guys. Clearly, you can see Wendy's passion and her compassion and her wisdom that she's accumulated from decades and decades and decades of doing this. And this is part of not, again, we've already talked about this, but I just want to reiterate, this is not just part of you having the skills to help your clients who have this issue, but this is about you increasing your longevity as a professional and your effectiveness as a professional by using these skills for yourself. So there is a double layer here. There's two layers of acquisition in skills and awareness.
Right.
This is the thing. Like you haven't touched on this before. You should be doing this. Yes, Wendy.
Yes. Plus, I have a raffle at the end of the 2 hour, which is my book.
Look at that.
Are you in a caregiving relationship and don't know it? Finding a balance of loving and caring. So everyone that attends has an opportunity of taking home my book.
There you go. You guys, this is a no-brainer. This is so simple. Like you go and you spend time with Wendy on Saturday, August 12th at 11
a.m. to 12:50 p.m.
Yeah, so it'd be 11, almost 11 to 1, basically. Almost 11
Right,
to 1,
right.
2 hours. And you're going to talk about how to be the expert in taking care of the caregiver. Learn everything from A to
Z.
Wendy Packer. All right, Wendy. I love talking with you. I love you.
Oh, I love you back, Paul. You're the best.
I'm grateful for you. Thank you so much for making time for me.
You are very welcome. Anytime.
All right, we'll see you in August.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.